For the first time, I had 200 people play my game at an offline event over 4 days. Preparing the demo, I thought I knew my game pretty well. But watching 200 people play it and talking to them made me realize something. I was completely wrong. I've been making gameplay prototypes for this game, and throughout the whole time, the only people who played were me or maybe 1 or 2 people I know. In this video, I want to share what happened over those 4 days and what I learned from the 200 people who played my game. In my last video, I talked about how my game wasn't fun at all and how I needed to build gameplay prototypes quickly to find what was actually fun. So I started making hypotheses about game systems, building prototypes fast and observing how each system felt. Then I kept what worked and threw out what didn't. Over the 2 months after my last video, I focused entirely on building and testing prototypes, 4 iterations total. Then I spent a month packaging and testing a demo build for the event. And then the event day arrived, I set up the booth, got the PCs ready and waited for players. And when people started playing, day 1 hit me like a truck. Play Expo is a big game expo in Korea. Everything from AAA titles to indie games shows up there. In my booth, over 4 days, around 200 people play my game. Playtime varied, but most people took about 10 to 15 minutes to clear the stage. Day 1, my legs were tired from standing all day, but honestly, I barely noticed. Because critical bugs kept showing up one after another, and I had no time to think about anything else. I was watching from the back and just kept getting surprised. I had tested the game so many times before the event, but none of that prepared me for this. A lot of bugs were related to keyboard input. I'm already familiar with the controls, so I press keys calmly, but first-time players didn't know the controls, and when things got intense, they'd mash or randomly press keys. That caused a lot of weird character state bugs. After watching for a bit, I decided I couldn't just stand there. For bugs I could fix quickly, I handed the booth to a helper, grabbed my laptop and mouse, and kept going back and forth to a corner of the event hall to hotfix. There was also a ton of feedback about the controls. Most people couldn't get through combat properly. The combat is too hard was one of the most common things I heard. Some players left during the tutorial because of this. Every time I saw it happen, it hurt. Another big thing, a lot of people played through the tutorial in completely different ways from what I intended. Some people were even getting lost. I realized I need to guide players in a much clearer and friendlier way. Like in the tutorial where you throw a bottle to lure an enemy and sneak past, about half of the players got it the way I intended, but the other half, some threw the bottle in the wrong direction, some just let the enemy spot them, got chased and ran their way out. And in the ranged weapon tutorial section, some used all their ammo trying to shoot the enemy but still couldn't kill it, so they just got stuck. And there were so many other edge cases like this, all kinds of ways players found to go off script. By the end of the day 1, I was exhausted, I just wanted to shower and sleep, but I knew that if I didn't fix it tonight, tomorrow would be exactly the same. Seeing players struggle with the same bugs over and over was really hard. And most importantly, I'd just be collecting the exact same feedback all over again. So I stayed up late hotfixing and went to sleep. The next day at the event, I stood in the back watching people play the new build. Honestly, I was more nervous than day 1 because I just kept wondering if things got better and if the bugs were finally gone. The result? I could tell right away just by watching. Day 1, so many people left during the tutorial because the controls were too hard. But day 2, people were actually clearing the whole stage. I was so happy inside. When I asked players how it felt, feedback about controls and bugs dropped a lot. I thought, okay, now we can move forward. And immediately, whole new types of feedback and new bugs started pouring in. This was the fastest feedback loop I've ever experienced. Fix something overnight, see the result the very next day. By day 3, almost no one was giving feedback about controls anymore. It was mostly about core gameplay and mechanics. These were things I couldn't fix overnight, so I just kept collecting the feedback. The main goal of this event was to observe how people play my game and get honest feedback. The game feels like it doesn't know what it wants to be. The elements feel disconnected. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. Hearing this kind of feedback, I won't lie, it hurt. But after hearing it 10 times, 20 times, I started to go numb. It stopped feeling personal. It started to look like data. And once I went numb, surprisingly, it actually turned into energy. What I brought here is close to a prototype, not a finished game, but I could feel it. If I fix this, it could be so much better. I talked with over 100 players about my game. Honestly, I expected most people to just say, it was fun, and move on, but they gave way more direct and honest feedback than I expected. That surprised me in a good way. There were also people who said, this was the most fun game at the whole event, or this is genuinely fun. That gave me a lot of positive energy and motivation too. Standing from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. for 4 days straight was physically tough, but watching people play and talking with them made the time fly. When the event ended, what I took home wasn't just a wishlist number. It was seeing my game from the outside for the first time. Like developing awareness about yourself. This event gave me the same awareness about my game. Feedback on how the game feels, evaluation of the mechanics, and a clearer sense of its potential. Looking at my game through all that feedback, I realized I need to rethink the core mechanics. The feedback that hit me hardest was, the game has all these elements, but they feel like separate things rather than one connected experience. I had felt this somewhere in the back of my mind while building the demo, and all this feedback just confirmed it. Running a game booth is physically tough, and for a small studio like mine, the cost is a bit of concern. But honestly, it was completely worth it. I got to meet hundreds of real players, watch how they actually play, and gave me a much clearer picture of where my game is and where it needs to go. There's one more thing. Through this event, I found some great reference games and was also reminded of a few I'd been meaning to try for a while. It's Metal Gear Solid, Mutant Year Zero, Shadow Gambit, Hitman, and Resident Evil. I want to play through these before I start refining the systems. At this event, I never once asked people to wishlist the game in exchange for merch. I don't think that kind of wishlist means anything, because it's not a choice they made on their own, it's just an empty number. Instead, I think it's better to simply leave the door open for anyone who finds the game genuinely interesting. After each gameplay, instead of saying, please wishlist the game, I handed them a Google Form QR, said, please give us feedback. At the bottom of the form, I left a CTR section with the Steam page link, so if the game genuinely interested them, they could add it to their wishlist on their own. Without us ever asking, over 50 people added to their wishlist on their own. Seeing that number was genuinely encouraging. That's more than 50 out of 200 players. From a pure marketing perspective, running an offline booth might not seem very efficient. But for playtesting and actually making a better game, I think it's one of the best things you can do. If you are making a game, I'd really encourage you to try it at least once. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!